Much of NASCAR racing depends on both talent and luck, but there are times when drivers want victory so bad they go the extra mile for it and even cheat. Sometimes they get away with it, and sometimes the odds are against them and they get caught. Here are the times when NASCAR drivers got caught cheating. Number 1. GIBBS racing team at the Michigan International Speedway. With the way Joe GIBBS has dominated nationwide racing, you think it's been all rosy and clean from the start, but that's not true. Joe GIBBS racing team is one of the teams on NASCAR's blacklist of racers who once cheated their way through to the finish line. In August 2008, his drivers were caught trying to max the horsepower in their engines. During the routine inspections, NASCAR inspectors found magnets under the gas pedal of the number 18 and number 19 race cars at the Michigan International Speedway. The two cars won 14 out of 15 Toyota victories in national sports. When NASCAR realized this cheat, they ordered the inspectors to remove the 15 horsepower from their cars. According to Joe GIBBS' father, J.D. GIBBS, that was a very foolish decision. He said, "I understand the boys feel frustrated and they tried to show that. They want to win, but it's not an excuse. We'll figure out what happened and those responsible for such a crime. Trust me, they won't go unpunished because they violated the law." To show remorse, he apologized to NASCAR officials and promised that such would never happen again. Joe GIBBS said the incident might be false, but he and his team would take full responsibility if found genuine. At the end of the inspection, the team was found guilty and disqualified from the race that season. Number 2. Michael WALTRIP at Daytona International Speedway. Michael WALTRIP committed the biggest cheating scandal in NASCAR back in 2007. After he qualified for the Daytona 500 Cup Series, NASCAR officials and inspectors found a silicone engine intake manifold that proved that he used illegal fuel to improve his performance on the racetrack. To the fans, it seemed the cheating is in the family blood because Michael's brother was also caught cheating. And when asked, he said, "If you don't cheat, you become a loser." But do you really have to cheat to win? Fuel tampering has got to be one of the most severe offenses in the NASCAR race series, and WALTRIP didn't escape the punishment. The crew chief was suspended indefinitely from the race, which means they had no chance to appeal or show remorse. However, NASCAR officials gave WALTRIP a second chance. He was allowed to participate in the 150-mile qualifying series, but to proceed to the final sequence, he must finish as the first or second in the last lap. One NASCAR official said, "I'm surprised because you cannot just mess with the tires and fuel in the NASCAR race series. A case of gas mixed to increase horsepower is not acceptable either in the NASCAR series. This thing is about fuel, a substance that can quickly explode if not handled with care. Then you add a foreign substance to an engine that can cause severe harm to other racers? Come on, it's totally wrong." The team went too extreme by doing that to get into the Daytona 500, and they will be penalized accordingly. Daytona's executive, Jim Oss, also expressed disappointment in such an act. He also added that the team deserved a suspension because such an act of tampering was terrible to do, as it could have caused an explosion. Number 3. CLINT BOWYER at the Richmond race. This is one of the most notorious episodes of cheating in NASCAR. With 5 chase berths up for grabs in the 2013 Sprint Cup race, BOWYER spun 7 laps, which was enough to take him to Richmond. Of course, such a win was suspicious. How can one person turn 7 laps at a go? Quite a wonder. NASCAR believed the spin was an attempt to alter the event's success. BOWYER's general manager was suspended and he was given a fine of $300,000. Even when he was caught, CLINT BOWYER tried to defend himself. He didn't even try to deny the fact that he cheated. According to him, cheating is part of the job, and you must engage in it to win the NASCAR Cup Series. He saw no point in hiding the shady crime he had committed. Not like it was shady to him anyway. In a statement, he said, "It's tricky. Everything about the NASCAR race series is really tough. You want fair play, but everyone on the field is knowledgeable people. They have a massive amount of experience you cannot compete with and could even do the race with closed eyes. So, as a new person, if you don't cheat to stay afloat, you're not trying. Too much for a man with low confidence." BOWYER took a colossal hit that tarnished his image, but he didn't mind. He aimed to win the trophy but didn't. NASCAR officials reviewed the footage and said he had spun out on purpose to remove Truex from the track. The medal was given to Newman instead. So much for a final loss. Number 4. Jeff Gordon smashes the victory line at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Gordon made history in NASCAR by winning Winston in 1997 with T-Rex, considered the fastest car. He was unstoppable during the race, almost flying with the vehicle. Do you know what it means to cover 80 miles in 1 hour? Gordon was doing the devil's speed on the track. After the race, Gordon gently patted himself on the shoulder and said, "This was the smoothest race I've ever had." The car hugged the track tight and was tagged "Wicked Beast" by other racers because such had never been recorded in history. However, NASCAR refused to be deceived by such a show of confidence. They knew something was amiss because one race car couldn't solve all the problems on the track. An American consultant for Hendrick Company even complimented the car by saying the car didn't just run the race, it dominated and ruled over other racers. It was a well-built car that was supposed to take Jeff Gordon to the peak of his career. Unfortunately, NASCAR banned it because they believed it was the only way of oppressing other racers. Behold! When the investigation was carried out, NASCAR officials were disappointed to realize that Jeff and his crew members had gotten a newly built car for the race. They banned the car and fixed the rule against any racer using it in the future. Although NASCAR banned the car, the stress was worth it because Jeff Gordon won $1 million since he emerged as the race winner. Number 5. Carl Long at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Carl Long was suspended for running an illegal engine on the racetrack. Though he didn't intentionally cheat, the official inspectors realized that his machine was too high for a racer at the All-Star race at Lowe's Motor Speedway. He was penalized with a fine of $200,000. Due to how broke he was at the time, Long pleaded for leniency, but he wasn't granted such satisfactory relief. NASCAR officials only considered him and reduced his suspended races from 12 to 8. He ended up losing 8 races and 200 dock points. At the end of the 8 missed races, he still couldn't compete because he had no money to pay for the fines. Trying to show his innocence, Long said, "I bought the engine from a longtime builder, Ernie Elliott. He handed over all the paperwork to me and convinced me that it was all within NASCAR specifications for racers. I used the engine to compete in 23 races between 2000 and 2006. What prompted NASCAR to inspect the engine was when the engine began to malfunction during the All-Star race practical session." In his appeal, Long argued that the engine fault may have been due to an error due to overheating on the engine, but NASCAR countered his request, claiming that an oversized engine is one of the most severe violations that require a harsh penalty. This incident happened in August 2009, and Carl was suspended till December 31st. Number 6. Mark Martin at Richmond International Speedway. Mark Martin was blacklisted as a cheater in the NASCAR Championship Series. He started the NASCAR Cup Series in 1990 on pretty good ground, won the Winston Cup, and got more chances when he won at Richmond. But of course, NASCAR officials started doubting the win and claimed that Martin installed an illegal carburetor spacer in his car. This component lowers the speed and angle at which the air-fuel charge must turn into the runners and help drivers keep more fuel in suspension. NASCAR concluded that this carburetor improved his performance on the speed lane and made him get to the finish line like a pro. Martin denied the claim and argued that the carburetor did not give him an advantage on the track. He further asserted that he knew it was illegal. Despite that, NASCAR officials didn't listen nor buy his defense statement. They penalized him with a fine of 46 championship race points. Somehow, NASCAR officials always feel all their top racers cheated their way to the top because they know how tough the sport can be. And mostly, they always have a reason to get the driver hooked with their claims. But will you blame them? Of course not. They own the company and have their rules.